The Royal Rumble is this Saturday. Lots of surprises to look forward to, but we are here to talk about 5 shocks they could pull, Michael Hamflett, starting with Randy Orton accidentally costing Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, my voice currently sounds like this because of the nightclubs of Chesterfield.
Hey.
But it could still sound like this time next week if Kevin Owens defeats Cody Rhodes for the title in the ladder match. Look, it feels unlikely, but yet again they have established a 1% of doubt because not just of the ladder and the fact that Cody doesn't need to be pinned, but that you kind of are now rooting for Kevin and Sami, not just to have their match at WrestleMania, which feels like a lock, but for it to be for all the marbles too. They've done a fantastic job with this Owens and Rhodes thing in general, and look at the roots of all of this. Of course, Kevin Owens and Randy Orton fussing and a feuding happened before Owens turned on Cody, and Owens is full of all this hell and full of all this rage because of feeling like he's being betrayed by his friends. So these things tie together quite nicely. Randy Orton was put out by the same package pile driver that ultimately kind of put Cody out over the Christmas period. There are already links between these three. And just like people have fantasy booked Owens and Zayn for WrestleMania, you still see whispers of Orton and Rhodes too. There is a legacy in play with this one. So sooner or later we're going to get it anyway.
Yeah.
It could be here, a Randy Orton accidental mistake where a ladder gets pushed over, indeed he gets pushed into a ladder, might bring Cody to the deck and allow Kevin Owens to scamper up there and get the belts. It's not impossible. And look, this era where this version of Randy Orton, who looks like he ate the old version of Randy Orton, has gotten over in an entirely different way.
Yes.
There is a universal love of Randy Orton as this legendary figure simply because of the amount of time he's been around. You can kind of never rule him out having that big match with Cody.
Yeah.
And the sky's the limit for how high they want to go with it. It's unlikely, but not impossible.
Yes, exactly. I think the beauty of this time period right now, particularly this year, is the unpredictability of all. Often you'll go into the Rumble and you go, it's going to be Cody or whoever it may be that seems like a lock to win it. And obviously for most years it was Roman's going to be going into the main event of WrestleMania. This year, there's at least a slight chance that they change things up, like you say. You could change it up so you do, Cody versus John Cena for non-title stuff, or Cody versus The Rock without a title involved, or Cody versus Roman without a title being involved, because Kevin Owens is the man taking it into WrestleMania to take on his best friend Sami Zayn. Yeah, all the focus in the recent aspect of this Owens-Cody feud has been on Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
But let's not forget the catalyst for all this is, of course, Randy Orton, because Kevin Owens broke his neck with a pile driver. And he wants revenge, and like you say, sometimes people are blinded by revenge, and he could be so set on, I'm gonna kill him, that he accidentally costs his best friend. And you see Kevin Owens winning the title on Saturday, and if that happens, suddenly you're like, well, who the hell wins the Rumble?
This is it. And obviously we're going to get to this as we go through, but there's kind of never been, it feels as if at least, a Rumble that is more open-ended and full of stars at the same time. Normally when the absolute tip-top guys are in there, it kind of just becomes about them. The Rock and the Big Shows use the famous example. Not this year's. Massive slate full of stars, massive potential of all the various winners.
Indeed. A slightly more feasible shock that could happen this weekend is the man comes around. Becky Lynch has been conspicuous by her absence. There's a little nod to her in Seth Rollins' entrance on Raw on Monday night. But her, along with the likes of Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, and recently Nikki Bella, have been mentioned returns. And yeah, I think we are long overdue seeing Becky Lynch back in the ring. Obviously, she didn't sign a new contract with WWE, but we all know that it is just it's a handshake deal basically, and she's going nowhere else other than the Fed. And if you want to surprise people, Becky Lynch returning to win the Rumble, and you could either rematch against Rhea Ripley or have Becky Lynch versus Tiffany Stratton, which is a fascinating prospect. And the whole, Charlotte Flair's coming back and she's winning the Rumble, and we all know it would completely throw people if Becky won it all.
Yeah, you mentioned the rematch with Rhea, obviously, because of how great the WrestleMania opener was last year. But Becky Lynch was one of the people that helped put Tiffany Stratton on the map.
Yes.
Really hard-hitting NXT matches, the type of matches that I think got Tiffany Stratton over in a completely different way for those that maybe weren't watching otherwise. Remember how much of a draw Becky Lynch was for fresh eyes to NXT at that period of time. And it showed Tiffany Stratton as somebody that could hit hard as well as use her athletic background and kind of become the wrestler that a lot of people have thus now fantasy booked her to wrestle Charlotte Flair for down the line, who of course is one of the announced returnees for the Rumble. That's what kind of separates Becky Lynch from Charlotte Flair here, and likewise for Alexa Bliss and Nikki Bella and anybody else that might still be announced for this one. They've started finally padding out the numbers, but the difference between the men's and women's rumbles is they might be padding out the numbers, but they're not really padding out the winners. Whilst we can fantasy book loads of different permutations because of all the moving parts. Currently in that top line, like you illustrated on the Go Home Raw brilliantly with all the different people that feel in the mix. The women's match might have the quantity, but it doesn't yet feel like it's got the quality. Becky Lynch, as a surprise, instantly changes that. She ups the game, she ups the star power, of course, ups the WrestleMania potential, and indeed ups the fantasy booking, because you've just done it there. There are countless Becky Lynch matches that feel like they'll be on the table, even if she doesn't win the Rumble. So the idea that she's getting the title shot makes it all the more captivating. She feels like a lock, she feels made on.
Lyra Valkyrie's in the Rumble?
She is. They will certainly do a spot with that, like Becky Lynch might want to clip her wings since she's becoming a Intercontinental Champion. Bird stuff. The reality of Becky Lynch as well at this point is that, and she deserves this spot too, she's one of those wrestlers we always talk about that is like has to be on the WrestleMania whiteboard. You imagine the card getting put together and you look at, right, who's the first name? Well, Shane McMahon hasn't been on scene for years, so we can bump him at least at number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Becky Lynch is in that group, deservedly so, of people that have to be considered. What are they doing at WrestleMania? And the Rumble is a perfect way to kickstart that, because if nothing else, you've got 29 potential opponents out there with them.
Absolutely, really, really exciting. But now, Michael Hamflett, it's time for you to get your dong out, because The Undertaker is our third shot that they could pull.
Get your dong out. We have to monetize this.
Yes, The Undertaker making a Royal Rumble cameo. He obviously popped up on the Raw Netflix debut show. Not, as it turns out, taking Becky Lynch's spot. Thank goodness for that. But could you imagine if, after the buzzer went off, the Dead Man's music hits? They've got the Dead Man edition of the new 2K game. This could be all a bit of a tie-in. Or it could just be really beneficial to have someone eliminate The Undertaker from the Royal Rumble. Like, if he wants to go in it, who's going to tell him no?
Well, there is that, I suppose. It's not my favourite kind of Undertaker cameo. That would be the one that he was selling to All Elite Scooby-Doo for $300 or whatever it was back in the day when the Dead Man had that money to make, because I bought a bunch of houses and the market crashed. Why not, I suppose. Like, you're right about the 2K overlap that I hadn't necessarily considered. I mean, the Raw Netflix cameo, he didn't even get in the ring, did he?
No.
He just rode his beautiful tartan bag around the thing and then raised his arm with Rhea Ripley. So, hi. Here, man, look, I'll campaign for this actively and loudly for The Undertaker to enter the Royal Rumble. If he enters at one number, let's say 15 or something, and then at number 16, and his fellow idiot on the internet, Maven, who also makes a Royal Rumble cameo and then drop kicks him out all over again.
Perfect.
Do the whole thing. Have Undertaker batter him through the arena all over again and smash his head through a popcorn machine for all I care. Like Jey Uso's there, ready to enter as number 17. There's just popcorn on his glass everywhere. Fine, Undertaker. You get your Dead Man if you want it.
Goldberg's been rumoured for a return. One more time, partner. We're going to do this again. Also, I'd love it if you entered the Rumble looking like that as well.
What the hell's who are you? Who are you? Who are you?
What's on this hoodie?
Cooey. That's it.
Cooey! That's what he says now. That's his new catchphrase.
It's a bit offensive, isn't it?
Cooey's the new BSK, I imagine. That was like, we're going to stop this Cody Rhodes from going on any longer. Me and the Cooey boys.
It would be so random, but anything's possible. It is the Rumble after all.
I would stare deep into the eyes of the game Triple H and say to him, Paul, you've done it now. You've gone and made a big mistake.
Now, one legend who will be appearing in the Royal Rumble is, of course, John Cena. But the shot they could pull is John Cena goes from first to last.
Yeah, it's so fascinating what happens with John Cena, brackets general, in 2025. He's already kind of reminded everybody what an incredible draw he is, because the mere idea that you're seeing a John Cena last thing has already helped. Like, the Rumble would have done fantastically well anyway, but like, this Rumble crowd is going to be enormous. Elimination Chamber with John Cena saying, well, it's my last one of them as well, is like sort of trending in the direction of being like another like record gate or crowd in the Skydome, whatever it's for WWE. The impact of John Cena remains intact, and how they book him and maybe how he performs to the role is going to be one of the more interesting stories to track in 2025. What is left in the tank match quality wise, based on stuff we've seen in the last couple of years? Not a great deal, but who knows how he's prepared for this year. He's kind of committed to it from, like a year ago when he said, I'm putting some of my film stuff on ice in order to make this run mean something. 40 odd appearances or whatever the number was. It's a big... you're going to see a fairly decent cage match page for John Cena in 2025. So the Iron Man run is wacky, but yet again not something that you can altogether rule out. The surprise that music hitting in the number 1 and number 2 spot would almost match the surprise of the music hitting in 2008 when he returned from India.
Yeah.
Because you just simply wouldn't be able to visualise the idea of John Cena coming from the very beginning and making it to the end. I can visualise John Cena in the Final Four, for example.
Yeah.
I can imagine a face-off with CM Punk, and I'm already getting just even thinking about it. But the idea of Cena interacting with potentially everybody, if he's entering number 1, a little face-off with John Cena and everybody that walks that aisle is such a an interesting way.
What better way to set up a year of stories?
Exactly, because he can't wrestle everybody, but in a rumble he can wrestle anybody.
Yes.
So that there is something to be said for this pitch. But again, it will be, like a lot of things in 2025, a test of his physical mettle.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. This is the real sort of measuring stick for what he does in 2025. And I think a lot of people, myself included, when he was announced as being part of the being at Elimination Chamber, went, well, he's not winning the Rumble then, is he? Because you want to do, it's his last Rumble. He didn't win that. But maybe if he wins the Chamber, he didn't win that. Maybe if he wins Money in the Bank, that could all be just, a twist for them to be like, oh yeah, he's working Elimination Chamber, but he's already punched his ticket to the main event of WrestleMania by winning the Rumble from number 1, and you get that, to some people, dream match of Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, or John Cena versus Gunther, which is another match I'd like to see this year.
Oh man, yeah. It's worth remembering as well, one of the best things that Cena said in that promo that he cut on Raw is Netflix, which I think was the last appearance he actually made. He kind of set his stall out there and then for the Rumble, was that he's reminded everybody that he's just chasing a win. It's been that long since he even picked up a win just as John Cena, not in a tag or something like that. So if he sees an opportunity to win the Rumble, if nothing else, he feels like he's breaking a duck. So this kind of a losing streak that you're pitching just mounts and mounts and mounts more pressure on John Cena, the character, to find himself all over again. I've entered the Rumble, I've lost. I've entered the Chamber, I've lost again. Do I even deserve to be on WrestleMania?
Yeah.
It's all stuff that they can play with this character that could subvert the expectations and the memories that a lot of people have of Cena wins LOL. There are so many cool and interesting stories to tell with Cena this year. I just hope that he's got the physicality in him to back it up.
And that would be his 3rd Rumble win? Is that?
Yes, 2008 and 2013. So yeah, it would be.
There you go. Drawing a very elite group of people with that.
Just the one. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's just the one. I'm thinking, Cody obviously not done that yet.
Not yet.
No, not yet. And he's not going to win it this year. He's not number 1.
Well, unless he loses the ladder match.
Don't do that. Don't do it, WWE. But let's talk about the one man who has the power to blow up WrestleMania. I am talking about The Rock. And I have to keep myself a little bit calm here, because the shot we are saying that they could pull is not only The Rock being in the Rumble or winning the Rumble, but coming into the Rumble at number 31.
Yeah, this is a bit of a Wilborn Hamlet joint, this, isn't it?
Yes.
I remember you were the first one I saw or heard anywhere, very OTJ form of you.
Thank you very much.
To reference that the thing he handed over to Cody Rhodes on the post-WrestleMania Raw was one of those little balls you get in the tumbler with the Rumble on the number 30 or whatever, just say see you in the Rumble, pal, see you in the Rumble. And I got overexcited and thought, well, he's the final boss. And I don't know if you remember when he was on NXT, he said, Ava's the boss on NXT, she's the general manager of NXT. Rockstar, she hasn't got to say it. But he's the final boss. He's the big boss. He can do whatever he wants, including make up the rules of Royal Rumble.
20 steps ahead.
Well, indeed, it's 20 plus 8 today as we record. But what I like the idea of was Roman Reigns and CM Punk being the last two, and just how incredible and heated that would be. Somebody's going to win. Somebody's actually, for the first time, these two people in this this race to WrestleMania. Let's be honest with these two. But something has got to give, and then no, it doesn't. A completely fresh Rock comes out while they're both trained.
Imagine a counter. Why is the counter happening?
Why is the counter happening? Yeah, they've even done the thing where they frame them with the WrestleMania sign in the background, and it's here we go, the final two. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. C4. Like, like the chaos around that would be quite incredible. And I want to shout out Jamie Kennedy, who's wrote this article. Definitely check it out, whatculture.com/WWE, because he has done a very good job of measuring how awesome this would be, whilst also measuring the expectations of it, because The Rock blew all of it up on the Raw Netflix special. And I think we've all kind of struggled with the aftermath ever since. You included, I imagine.
Somewhat,
How are things in the journalist community today?
Pretty,
after last night's, shall we say, Rock-free Raw?
Well, you say that, but Mikey, you're reading it all wrong, brother.
I don't know.
Who else was meant to be on that Raw and was conspicuous by his absence? Roman. Coincidence? I think not. But look, I love The Rock, and I don't care about
Joe incidents.
I don't care about your WrestleMania plans. If The Rock comes along, tough tits to everyone else.
Yeah.
He does what he wants, and he didn't get his way last year. But there's just the chance that this year he's like, no.
Yeah.
I'm basically the reason this whole merger and stuff has come together. I'm on the board. I'll do what I want, thanks very much.
Well, here's the thing, right? You know, if the Rumble's on Saturday, like we're recording this on a Tuesday, you could be watching this on a Thursday, who knows? The Rock could decide this on a Friday. Like,
Yes.
we're saying this now, like it's all up in the air until he says so.
Yeah.
That's the privilege of being a boss.
It's never over if you're Dwayne.
It's never over. Like a Rock Netflix promo, it's never over.
So you're telling me there's a chance, but cannot wait for the Rumble on Saturday. We are going to be doing a live stream for it, so do join us for that and let us know the shocks you'd love to see them pull in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Enjoy the Rumble. And while you're at it, why not check out this video ranking all of the best Royal Rumbles and the worst ones too. Go on, click it. Bye.